This this is the Impressions Xchange podcast.
Impressions Xchange podcast,
where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Welcome to another episode of the Impressions Xchange podcast. It's early 2026, so I would love to start off the year with a look at some of the plans and priorities of Printing United Alliance's advocacy team. To address that, my guest today is Stephanie Buka, Government Affairs Manager of the Alliance. We discuss advocacy and postal updates, how the Alliance is addressing the Toxic Substances Control Act hearing, and we chat about the upcoming legislative fly-in scheduled for March 24th to the 26th in Washington, D.C. Steph, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Ashley.
Of course. Such a joy to have you. So, advocacy, I'd love to ask you some questions about, now that we're in a new year, what Printing United Alliance has planned for this year. Maybe could you just talk me through some general updates in the advocacy space?
Sure. We are opposed to a provision in a bill called the Invest Act. And what it was originally called the Improving Disclosure for Investors Act, and they just wrapped it into this larger capital markets reform bill. So it's called the Invest Act, and what that would do is make the default electronic delivery for all financial secure documents. And right now, paper is the default, and we believe paper should remain the default. So we are opposed to that provision. Mm-hmm. It passed the House, and it's now in a Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. So we have a meeting set up with Senator Thune's office on actually tomorrow. And so we're going to highlight the reasons why we oppose this. For our, printers that specialize in printing financial documents, it basically hurts their bottom line. And then also for seniors and people that live in rural places that don't have broadband internet, it limits their ability to make financial decisions. So those are our arguments, and people can get involved and take action on our advocacy page. We have an action alert set up. So I encourage people to go to our advocacy center and take action.
Perfect. Yeah. And I will include a link to that in the description, because that absolutely makes sense. Not only could it be potentially devastating for our industry, but I feel like that's very, alienating for a lot of populations who aren't able to access digital.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very important stuff. So I know there are also some updates in the postal space, right?
Yeah. So there's a new postal caucus that Congress has formed, and we are part of two coalitions. One is called the Coalition for a 21st Century Postal Service, C21 for short. I'll just call it C21, and keep us posted. They are meeting right now with members of that new caucus to serve as a resource for people that may not understand, first of all, how the Postal Service operates, the Postal Regulatory Commission's role, the Board of Governors' role, and then to offer solutions to the problem of the continual financial losses that they're experiencing, and also their service performance. So we're actually offering some suggestions, and I just wanted to let everyone know that we are concerned, about the Postal Service. They've actually admitted that they will become insolvent in the year 2027, at the end of 2027. The
Wow.
Postal Service has, so we're very concerned. This institution is an important institution. It's a key delivery channel for the printing industry, and we're going to do everything we can to preserve it. However, the Congress doesn't have an appetite for bailing them out. They just don't. They're not going to. And it seems it seems that the Postal Service is probably going to make that ask. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but we're fighting for the Postal Service.
Right, of course. Concerning 2027, that's coming up very
Yes.
quickly.
Yes.
So I know I heard a little bit there at the time that everyone's going to be hearing this, it'll already have happened, but upcoming TSCA hearing and the Alliance addressed that in some way. So could you talk about that?
Yeah, my colleague Gary Jones, he's our EHS vice president, expert on all things environmental health and safety. And tomorrow there is a hearing in the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. It's in the subcommittee called Environment, the Subcommittee on Environment. And we want to be involved in the remaking of the TSCA legislation. And that is what is happening tomorrow. There's a draft piece of legislation that would update and modernize TSCA. And we want to have our input into this process. So Gary created a one-pager. He did coordinate a little bit with the American Chemistry Council, our friends at the council, and we want to make sure that those committee members understand our needs and what the printing industry needs related to chemicals. And so our lobbyist will be participating in that hearing and just making sure that those members are aware of our needs. So, yeah.
And for our listeners who don't know what TSCA stands for.
Oh, yes. Yes. So it stands for Toxic Substances Control Act.
Okay.
And the EPA, they're the ones that there are, I don't know how many chemicals there are on the list, but there's a broad list of chemicals, and some of them they are saying, they harm human health. But the way that they go about determining that is we need to reconsider that. You should be basing it off of science, and sometimes that's not what they're doing. So Gary's the expert. I'll let him, explain further, but that's what the bill is about.
Printing United Alliance is the leading member-based printing and graphic arts association in North America with over 70 years of history and more than 20,000 members worldwide. We're here to support printing professionals like you with the tools, resources, and information you need to grow your business, sharpen your skills, and expand your network. Whether you're a printer, supplier, student, or educator, we've built our community to serve everyone who's passionate about the future of print. An Alliance membership is a smart, cost-effective way to stay current on the latest trends, connect with industry leaders, and give your business the competitive edge it deserves. Head over to printing.org/membership to learn more about the memberships we offer. Let's move the printing industry forward together.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about the legislative fly-in that is coming up in March. And this is the second year that we're doing the legislative fly-in in this format. So, maybe let's start with talking about why is this event important? Why do we do it?
Sure. Thank you for the question, because the legislative fly-in is super important for our industry because we're building relationships with lawmakers on Capitol Hill. And those relationships, we don't have a lot of time during the fly-in to meet with them, maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour at the most, but it gives them an opportunity to understand our industry, learn about the economic value that we bring, and also if there happens to be legislation that is proposed that we either support or oppose, they may be more likely they'll have an understanding. Oh, this is, now I know why they oppose this, this bill, or why we support a bill. So it's really crucial. And I would say that the people that attend also get some educational sessions where they'll learn about best practices. And our lobbyist does a funny skit about what to do and what not to do in meetings. So the what not to do is pretty funny. But so it's a great experience for everyone, I think.
Okay, so I'd like to touch on two things that you mentioned. So before we get to the agenda question that I have on what attendees can expect, who attends the fly-in?
So our target audience are C-suite alliance members, and those members do have to be a U.S. Legal resident that can vote in the U.S. because we want constituent. That's what the members care about. They care about their constituents. They want to, hear what their constituents are saying. So that's when we have meetings, we try to match the member with their representatives. Industry leaders bring their business points, like policy issues that are impacting their business, to these lawmakers. And so they're sharing their story, and the stories are very powerful. This is how taxes are affecting my business. This is how workforce, labor shortages are affecting me. And so it brings a real world perspective to the lawmakers.
Mhm. Perfect. And the agenda question. So what can attendees expect? Because it's a multi-day event, right?
Yes, it's a 2-day event. The first day is geared towards educational sessions. We will have a guest speaker. We're trying to have one of the members of the Congressional Printing Caucus visit us. And, their schedules are really busy, but we're going to try. We're optimistic that maybe one of them can attend and speak to our group. The other thing, that night will be a cocktail reception at Carmine's. And the second day after breakfast, everyone will head out to their meetings. They'll be led by a guide, and our lobbying firm, ACG Advocacy, will help set that schedule up for those meetings. And after a photo on the Capitol Hill steps, we'll have another cocktail reception and at the hotel, which is the Hilton on Capitol Hill. And so that's pretty much the day. There is one thing that we're adding this year. It's the Women in Print Breakfast and Advocacy Summit. And that happens prior to the start of the fly-in. So Tuesday from 8:30 to 12, there is a session for members of the Women in Print Alliance. And people can go to womeninprintalliance.org to find out more and to register for that. You have to register for the fly-in first, and then you can register for the Women in Print session.
Okay. And I will link to that as well for those who are interested in attending. So you mentioned that something that's different this year versus the inaugural fly-in last year is the Women in Print Alliance session. Are there any other differences for this year? Like anything that we didn't do last year that's new for this year?
Yes. So we decided to partner with some of our associations that we are related to, and we plan on bringing everyone an amazing experience. And while we are the prime host, they will be part of, the event. So we can't confirm which associations are planning to attend yet and help us out, but you will see their names on our signage. So yes, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, great. For those who want to learn more about the fly-in, where should they go?
The website is flyin.printing.org. And yes, everything is on the website. I encourage people to go and check it out. And if you think that it'd be something you're interested in, please apply. Please just go ahead and apply, because we need our voice heard in Washington, D.C.
Right. All right. It's a very powerful thing. Well, Steph, you'll be there. I plan
Yes.
to be there. It should be a great event. It will be my first time going, so I'm very excited. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I want to thank Steph for joining me on today's episode, and I want to thank all of you, our listeners. To access the websites mentioned, check out the podcast description where they will be linked. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Impressions Xchange podcast.